So, in the previous classes, we had discussed about how the French and the East India Company fought against each other, the two wars that they fought, the first and the second Carnatic War. Then we also discussed about how the East India Company and the French East India Company helped the Nawabs of Hyderabad and Karnataka. Then we also discuss about the Battle of Wendiwash, in which the French East India Company was defeated. Then we also discuss about the English in Bengal, why they wanted to occupy Bengal, the reasons. Then we also discuss about the Battle of Plassey. And today we'll discuss about the new Nawab, Mir Kasim, who had been installed by the East India Company after removing Mir Zafar. Now, why Mir Zafar was removed? Because he could not fulfill the limitless demands of the English. So, that's why he decided to conspire against the British. And thus the British came to know about this and he was being removed. And Mir Kasim was made the new Nawab of Bengal. Now, after Mir Kasim was made the new Nawab of Bengal, now the British East India Company laid down some conditions, such as that the Nawab, Mir Kasim, had to give the company the authority to collect revenue from Vardhaman, Mednipur and Chattagram. Now, unlike the other Nawab, Mir Kasim was a person of independent nature and he wished to be free from the English East India Company. He did not want that the English should interfere in his administration, and that he must be allowed to work independently. And for this, he shifted his capital from Murshidabad to Munger. And there, in Munger, he also built a strong Indian army, and those armies were trained by the Western military. And also he opened a big factory in Munger of guns. Now these activities of Mir Kasim made the English uneasy, and as a result there was a rivalry between the Nawab and the English. Now, after the Battle of Plassey, the English had received the Mughal Emperor's permission to conduct free trade in Bengal, if you remember that. Now, this meant that the East India Company did not have to pay any tax. Now, it means that the English had to just write company goods in whatever consignment that they were sending out of India, and that is a proof, and they don't have to pay any kind of tax. But this trade free was allowed by the Mughal Emperor to carry out trade outside India, not inside Bengal. But the English East India Company, they misuse this power and they use this to carry out trade not only outside India but also inside India. So as a result, it reduced the tax to the Nawab. So to teach the English officers or the company officials, Mir Kasim abolished the tax paid by the Indian traders too. So since the British were not paying any taxes in Bengal, so the Nawab also issued a new farman or a permission that even the Indian traders do not have to pay any taxes. And when this was being granted by the Nawab, so the English East India Company also could not earn any profit because the Indians were also not paying any kind of taxes. So the English attacked Patna, but the Nawab's army defeated the English. Then, after this, the English East India Company declared a war on Mir Kasim. And in the battle, Mir Kasim was defeated and he went and asked help from the Nawab of Ayodhya. Now, after taking refuge in Ayodhya, Mir Kasim and the Nawab of Ayodhya, that is Nawab Sujatullah, and the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II, they joined hands together and decided to challenge the East India Company. And thus, in the year 1764, the combined armies of Mir Qasim, Sujatullah, and Shah Alam II met the army of the East India Company at a place called Boxer. Now, in this battle, the combined armies of Mir Qasim, Sujatullah, and Shah Alam II was defeated because the English had superior military power. And this battle had a far reaching effect, and the position of the East India Company became more stronger. And also, the East India Company now had a very strong hold in the internal politics of almost the entire northern India. Now, soon after the battle, the very next year, that is in the year 1765, a treaty was signed between the East India Company and the Mughal Emperor and the Nawab of Ayodhya at Allahabad. Now, according to this treaty, the English gave back Ayodhya to Nawab, and in return, Nawab of Ayodhya, that is Nawab Sujatullah, had to give 2 districts of Kora and Allahabad to the East India Company, and also an amount of 50 lakh as compensation. Then, the company gave these 2 districts of Kora and Allahabad to the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam, and in return, Shah Alam gave the Diwani of Bengal, Bihar, and Odisha to the East India Company. Now that means that the East India Company have got the right to collect taxes in these 3 regions, that is Bengal, Bihar, and Odisha. And also, the company agreed to pay the Nawab rupees 26 lakhs annually. Then from 1765 AD onwards, the East India Company became the actual ruler of Bengal. Now, after gaining a strong foothold in Bengal, the British Parliament took an active interest in its activities, that is, the Parliament in England. Beside the undisciplined behavior of some company officials had created problems in administrative matters. So, because the East India Company here in India, they were so to control the activities on the officials here in India, the British Parliament passed a certain law so that they can run the Indian states smoothly. And they passed an act that is known as the Regulating Act in the year 1773. And this act was passed so that the English company can run India very smoothly, and that there will be no problems created by the English officials. Now let's discuss deeply about this act, because according to this act, a few changes were made. Now, to make the rule of the East India Company more secure and strong, the British Parliament had passed a law known as the Regulating Act. Now, according to this act, the Governor of Bengal was upgraded to Governor General. Now, before this act was introduced, Bengal had its own governor, Madras had its own governor, Bombay had its own governor. There were 3 different governors and each had equal power. But after the Regulating Act, the Governor of Bengal, his power was upgraded and to Governor General, and a 4-member committee was also formed to help the Governor General in his duty. And then the governors of Madras and Bombay came under the Governor of Bengal. Then the Regulating Act also had constitutional powers. Now, under this act, the political activities of the East India Company were recognized by the British Parliament. But, however, this Regulating Act did not mention the limitation of the power of Governor General. And because of this, since the Governor General did not know his power or how much power he had or he has, so this Regulating Act could not be implemented successfully. Then, in the year 1784, another act was passed. Now, this act was known as Pitt's India Act, and this was introduced by the British to correct the mistakes of the Regulating Act. And it was named after the British Prime Minister William Pitt the Younger. Now, under this act, a 6-member controlling committee was formed in India to look after the entire company's work. And the 4-member committee that was been made to look or to help the Governor General was lowered to 3 members. Then a regional board was also formed under this act, and this board can decide the appointment and termination of the company employees. Also, this new act, that is the Pitt India Act, increased the power of the Governor General and brought India under the central governance. And this Pitt's India Act was actually an example of British imperial rule in India. Now, we'll discuss about the expansion and consolidation of the British Empire. Now, the British continued to consolidate their position in India by playing political games. They managed to control the Indian states, the economy of India, and also they also grabbed the power of Indian rulers. Now, the company introduced various policies through which they can control India. Now, one such policy was the permanent settlement, which was introduced by Governor General Lord Cornwallis. Now, under this permanent settlement, the farmlands, that is paddy fields and all, were divided into small plots, and these plots were given under the charge of a zamindar. And in return, the zamindar had to pay the company a fixed amount of revenue. And if they could not pay, then the zamindari, that is the land, goes into the hands of the company. And thus, in this way, the British started to collect taxes and also acquired more land from the Indians. Then this permanent settlement also created a new class of zamindars in our country. And many rich people bought land, but these people had no direct connection with the agriculture, and so they did not understand the problems of the farmer. They increased the tax on the poor peasants or farmers, and to pay the taxes, the farmers in return had to take loans from moneylenders, and thus the conditions of the poor farmers in India was very pathetic and became very hard to live. And these landlords or zamindars were also loyal to the British, and that's why when the Sepoy, the revolt of 1857, took place, these landlords, they were not helping, or they did not help the Indian soldiers or the Indians. They remained loyal to the British. Another policy that the British introduced was Subsidiary Alliance, which was introduced by Lord Wellesley. Now, what is Subsidiary Alliance? Now, according to the Subsidiary Alliance, this policy, any state who will accept the friendship or alliance of the British East India Company will get protection of the British Army. But in return, that particular ruler or king had to pay the British Army an amount. And also, if the company, that is British East India Company, finds that the king is unfit, then they can remove the king from the power, and the entire power or the control of the kingdom will go into the hands of the British. And that's how the British also grab kingdoms, by using or in the name of Subsidiary Alliance. Then the last policy which the British introduced was the Doctrine of Lax in the year 1834. Now, Doctrine of Lax was introduced by Lord Dalhousie, or you can also say the Code of Directors, but we'll go with the name. Lord Dalhousie introduced it. Now, according to this policy, that is Doctrine of Lax, any Indian king who does not have an heir, that is a male child, cannot adopt any child and make him the heir of his kingdom. And a king who has no child, that is a child, if he dies, then the entire kingdom will go into the hands of the British. And even if the king adopts a child, he will not be recognized as the rightful heir. So, with the help of the Doctrine of Lax, the Indian kings without heir lost their titles, position, and pensions also. So, with the Doctrine of Lax, many kingdoms like Kolaba, Satara, Jaipur, Sambalpur, all were brought under the British Empire. And for this Doctrine of Lax, Rani Lakshmibai of Jhansi fought with the British. So, from the above discussion, we learned that the East India Company had established its control over Bengal, and from Bengal gradually to the rest of the part of the India. That's all in this lesson. Thank you.